Okay, let's begin. Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Bits Embryo, I welcome all of you to another session of Summer Talks. And for today's topic, we have from vision to venture, what it really takes to build something of your own. And startups are often discussed through headlines, funding rounds, valuation exits, and success stories. But what really happens between having an idea and building a company is something that only a very few people know. So, for today's session, by the end of this session, I hope you leave with a clearer understanding of how startups are built from the ground up, what makes an idea worth pursuing, how sustainability can become a business opportunity rather than just a social objective, and how young founders can access global platforms, networks, and opportunities to accelerate their ventures. To help us understand all of this, we have a very special guest who has built exactly this in this space. Our speaker today is Ankita Vijayvergiya, a BITS Pilani alumna and the founder of Natural Healers Climate Solutions, as well as the co-founder of Billion Carbon. Through her ventures, she has successfully worked at the intersection of entrepreneurship, sustainability, and climate innovation. Her work has been recognized globally, including being selected as a top innovator by Uplink, the World Economic Forum's innovation platform, and through accelerator programs supported by UNEP and UNES UNESCAP. Today, she'll help us understand what it really takes to build a startup that is both impactful and scalable. All right, Ankita, are you ready? So we'll start with the questions now.
I am, yes.
Okay, so opening question. So Ankita, can you tell us about Billion Carbon and Natural Healers, and how did you decide to build such impactful startups and your journey and the problems you faced and etc.
Sure. First, I want to know what is the profile of the people we have in the room? Like, are you guys second years, third years, fourth years,
Okay,
alumni?
this is actually yeah, this is basically like from second year to fourth year mainly because the
Okay.
session just ended, right? So I'm a second year at myself, like I just became a sophomore, and yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Sophomore, we have started calling that in bits.
Yeah,
Okay, very American, but yeah.
sounds cool, huh?
Yeah, okay. Let me do this actually. How I usually do these student sessions is I take you through my journey in about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we open up for questions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Or otherwise, if you have like a list of questions, maybe you can just tell it to me first, and then I'll see how I can include that during the journey itself.
Okay, so I do have a list of questions, and if you'd like, I can share it to you on the text as well.
Yeah, just so that I get a brief
Okay.
understanding of, what is it that you're looking for, and then I can cover those things first.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm just gonna send these questions over to you right now. Just give me
Yeah,
one
sure.
second.
You can just put it in the messages.
Chat box.
Chat.
But meanwhile, you can start like speaking about your career and stuff. Like I'll just like
Yeah,
arrange the questions myself only, like
yeah,
if you
sure.
want.
Let me just share my screen.
Okay, great.
Will you have to give me permission? Yeah,
Yeah.
give me
Just
permission.
one second. One second.
Okay, I have permission.
Okay, great.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yeah, we can. Very
Okay,
good.
all right. So how I like to do these talks is usually I spend about 15 to 20 minutes sharing about what we do, why we do it, and how we reached here. And then I usually open up for questions. So that way, what happens is you guys get a good context of what I do, and you're able to understand better the answers that I'm giving you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I want to focus our discussion around how do we really innovate for a climate positive future. I'm a millennial, you guys are Gen Zs. And you guys, your lifetimes, you're going to see a lot more of climate change than I have. And so this becomes extremely important for you guys as well. Before I get into that, let me just give you a little context on what we do at Billion Carbon. So at Billion Carbon, we have a proprietary technology, the 3-day precision food waste conversion to agricultural bio inputs, wherein we are converting food waste to soil regeneration bio inputs. I'm not a biotech engineer. I did my computer science engineering from BITS Pilani, and my co-founders are also BITSians, and they're also not biotech engineers, but you'll get to know how we got to this over the course of the talk. So over 4.5 billion years of evolution, nature perfected the food-soil loop. Food returned to soil, and soil in turn regenerated food. But in just 150 years of industrialization, we've broken this chain to create a linear food supply chain. Food becomes waste. That waste ends up in landfills. Nutrients from the food are lost, and soil in turn becomes chemical input dependent. So essentially, if I were to just sum it up, what we are doing is we are extracting nutrients from the soil only to dump them in landfills. 60 billion kgs of food waste is dumped into India's landfills every day. This is not just a major source of methane. It means that nutrients from our food are locked in those landfills forever. And on the other hand, 40% of global soils are now degraded. Why? Because agriculture has become so chemical input dependent. This leads to decrease in yields, which actually puts the world's food security at risk. So how do we really fix this problem? This is a very systemic problem, right? But there is a single answer of how we actually fix it. If we fix the food-soil loop, it will solve for all three problems: agriculture, landfills, and methane. And this is not just a big problem. It's a $300 billion global opportunity along the food supply chain. So what we also saw was that existing solutions were consistently failing. Composting is slow. It requires large land areas. Organic waste composter machines and biogas plants, they're costly and they produce dirty sludge as an output. Hence, none of these things are really scalable. So 3 years ago, we set out to solve this problem using science and engineering. We first went back to learn from nature, digestion and solid state fermentation. We ran thousands of controlled experiments over hundreds of variations of food waste substrate and organisms. Just like humans eat, digest, and excrete the food the next day, similar to that. And what we've developed is a consortium of micro and macroorganisms along with scientists. Now that was the first part of the technology, the biology. Then we engineered this biology into a reliable machine. We designed and created a 4-chamber bioreactor that can accelerate these natural processes without using any electricity. This is our innovation, a 3-day precision tech for food waste conversion to soil regeneration bio inputs. We have created a unique aerobic solution that can calibrate process, ingredients, and technology. And the thing to remember here is that we are able to achieve up to 95% biomass reduction in food waste in 3 days or less, all in an aerobic process. This is unheard of in the industry. The remaining 5% of biomass is high efficacy organic fertilizers. There are 2 of these. One is a liquid, the other one is a solid. And both of these work to restore soils, replace chemicals, and lift yields. So when we had this technology in place in 2024, we went out to do our pilots, iterate on them, and find our product market fit. You will keep hearing this word product market fit a lot in startup circles, and this is one of the most important things if you want to take a technology to market. We deployed it at large sites. We handled real messy food on the ground, iterated on our technology more, and then finally found a customer segment that could actually pay us to do what we do best. Then, because we are all engineers, we infused everything with data intelligence, of course. So we have created a live data intelligence dashboard, a platform, which is essentially an early warning system, which helps us run efficient operations and also measure accurate impact. And in 2025, we are proud to say that we have transformed commercial food waste management from a slow, dirty, costly, and outdated system into a clean, circular, and scalable new age solution. And I want to highlight the impact we have had so far. 4 million kgs of food waste processed scientifically, 2 million kgs of carbon dioxide equivalent mitigated, and we maintain a 50% women workforce. And an impact we did not expect. It completely transformed waste worker health. So we all know condition of waste workers across the world is quite abysmal. But here is a testimonial from one of our sites. It doesn't feel like working in a waste treatment site. Earlier, I used to have 3 to 4 sick days per month. Now it is 0. This was huge for us. And this person used to work with an organic waste composter machine before this. This is us. We have been recognized as top innovators by the World Economic Forum, by BRICS in Russia, by United Nations, and also by MOFPI, where we won the Startup India Grand Challenge, where we were awarded by Honorable Minister Shri Chirag Paswan himself. And this is the founding team led by me. All Bitcoin engineers. I also went to London Business School, and we all have 50 plus years of experience in building and scaling global ventures. Essentially, we all have an engineering mindset, which helps us understand, dissect, and solve complex systemic issues, and then take them to market. We also have a very strong team of research scientists and advisors building Billion Carbon with us. And we are fortunate enough to have global believers back us in our mission. And this is our dream. This is also why we have named ourselves Billion Carbon. We want to empower 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent mitigation and generate 100,000 climate jobs by 2030. So before I move ahead as to how we actually reached this point, what you saw today was what we are doing today, but this was not built in a day, right? Before we go there, I want to open it up for any questions, thoughts, comments that you have so far.
So I'll ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
So this is actually one big doubt in my mind that has been going on for a while, like since you said it. How did you balance that purpose to the profit margins? Like, how did you balance that balance that was required to keep the business alive? And how did you validate that there was a paying market? Like, how did you find that, and how did you convince them to pay you for
We'll
doing
come
this?
to that in my journey.
Okay, great. So I'll just wait for that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Otherwise, we can start.
Anything else?
Hello.
Yes, Srijan. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. So I was listening about your journey. I had this doubt that you being a computer science engineer, how did you decide that you wanted to go into this field? Like, wasn't it a bit of a big mountain to climb, going into this field?
Nobody wakes up thinking, I want to work in waste. Nobody goes into engineering thinking, mujhe kachra saaf karna hai, right?
Yeah, that's my
But
doubt.
what happens is the problem chooses you rather than you choose the problem. What you often hear in success stories is that somebody had this brilliant idea and then they started working on it. That happens in very, very less of the cases. Most entrepreneurs are built because the problem chooses them rather than the other way around.
Okay, yeah, okay. Great, thanks.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
Okay, let's move ahead. Okay,
Yeah,
so My journey. Well, every time I go through this, it just freshens up so many memories of bits and how we really got here. So overall, as you all already know, I am a BITS Pilani computer science engineer. I graduated in 2010. That's a long time ago. And after that, I joined consulting, did consulting for pharma companies, had some stints with startups here and there, some technology firms, and then I went on to do an MBA from London Business School, came back to India because the opportunity I was getting here was way superior than I was getting in London. And then I joined a company called Sprinkler, which is an MNC, and it starts, sorry, just a second, hold on.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry about that. So yeah, so I joined Sprinkler. I was their first employee in India, and I built their business from zero to $1 multi-million in India on the customer side while I was with them for about 3 years, I guess. And then COVID hit, right? So COVID was really the wake-up call for me first, and then my co-founders, because it really forced us to think, what are we doing with our time? I always knew that climate would be my second career. And the only question I asked at that time was, why not now? And that is what helped me take the plunge into climate first. We didn't know what we are going to work in climate for. But when we started, so when I started, and then a couple of months later, I also pulled my brother in. My brother is also a Bitsian. He's 3 years younger to me. And what we were doing at that time was we were just researching on where we are as a society when it comes to climate and where we need to be, and what is the gap that needs to be filled. And more importantly, how do we fill that gap? And during all of our research, because we didn't know what we wanted to do at that time, so we started to create programs out of it. These were educational programs. These programs would help people move to a more sustainable lifestyle as an individual. We were running 3 programs at that time. One was sustainable menstruation, one was plastics, and one was home composting. And because we are engineers, we also created a fancy app out of it. And we were running these programs online, pan-India, everywhere. And we were also doing a lot of impact analysis along with that, in terms of which program and which individual is giving us how much impact. And it was very easy to see that home composting, our third program, or rather food waste, was the area which had the maximum impact potential and the maximum business potential. And that is when we realized that food waste is a problem which is so huge in terms of it getting sent to landfills, and in terms of the fact that it produces methane, which is a gas which is 80 times more potent than carbon dioxide when it comes to global warming. This was such a huge problem that nobody was looking at it. And that is when we started doing our research on the existing solutions that I spoke about, and why is nothing really scaling? What is the problem on the ground due to which nothing is scaling? That is how our journey into food waste really started. So like I said, we first worked on the biotech piece. We, of course, started step by step. And once we had the biology in place, then we worked on the industrial engineering piece, which was the bioreactor. And both of these combined, we had a technology, a solution, which we could then go and test out in the market, which is the pilots that I was talking about. But the more important thing was we have a solution, we have a technology that works, that can treat food waste more efficiently than the others, but how do we make money out of it? I think that was the most important question that we had to answer for. So our first thought was, because this is food waste, of course, food waste is collected by municipalities and then it goes to the municipal area and then something happens and then it gets sent to landfills, right? So we thought maybe we should go to municipalities and we should showcase our solution and get contracts with them. We went and approached one. We finally got a pilot with Bhopal municipality. This is back in 2023. And we set it up pro bono. Pro bono is without any charges. They were very happy till we were doing it pro bono, and then we showed them the results, which were spectacular. And when we went to ask them about, okay, now can we get some kind of a tender? Can we get some kind of a contract? And they were like, free mein kar rahe ho, karte raho, acha kaam kar rahe ho aap log. And that's when we realized that the government is not going to be our first customer segment for sure, because getting money out of the government will mean we will need a lot of deep pockets. So we kept that pilot only till we got the first commercial pilot, which was with Adani, which in itself took about a year to materialize. Once we got that, then we started our business model testing. Over iterations, over several months, I would say we are still price testing in terms of, what our customers are willing to pay, in which location, for what kind of a service. But we sort of have a very good idea of where we are making our money from and where we will be making our money from in the future. So our journey from the concept stage to building a scalable model has been full of ups and downs, of course. There have been times where we thought this is going to be really difficult, and there have been times where we got some really great validation, like in the picture here. This is where we were awarded the Startup India Grand Challenge winner, and there are all ministers and all standing here. And this was at the Bharat Mandapam stage, which is the hugest stage that I have ever been on. But that's what has kept us going.
Okay. That's very inspiring.
Thank you. So I also want to highlight some of the early assumptions that we had versus what we really saw in reality, because this is one of the things that I find really interesting reflecting upon. So when we started, we really didn't start with, let's get our hands dirty with food waste. Yeah. When we started, when we knew that, okay, the problem is food waste that we want to solve for, because we are engineers, and I keep saying that again and again, because we are still engineers, and because I'm a computer science engineer, we thought we will create a fancy software platform where we will aggregate carbon credits for food waste treatment solutions. And that would be easy to do from a desk. So we were like, yeah, let's do it. You all know what carbon credits are, or no?
No, I actually have no idea. I was about to ask you that.
So you know what carbon dioxide equivalent is, or no?
Yes, I have an idea of what that is.
Does everybody have an idea or no? You guys know what climate change is. That I'm sure you all know. Yeah? You know what global warming is, which is a consequence of climate change. Now, how does global warming happen? It happens through greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are represented as carbon dioxide equivalent, right? So one carbon dioxide molecule is one carbon dioxide equivalent. A methane molecule is 80 carbon dioxide equivalent because it is 80 times more potent, right? So 1 ton of carbon dioxide equivalent, if you mitigate that, you generate 1 carbon credit. And that credit is tradable and you can make money on it because companies are willing to buy it from you, right? So it is sort of a finance thing, but overall, if I were to just simplify it, if you're working to mitigate greenhouse gases, you generate carbon credits, and those carbon credits are tradable in carbon markets. Just like we have stock exchanges for shares, we have carbon markets for carbon credits trading. And there you can make money off of that, right?
Okay.
So that's what we thought we would do, right? That's easy to be done from a computer, from a desk. And then when we actually went out to implement it or started to research on it, we realized why there was nobody doing any aggregation on food waste carbon credits. People were doing aggregation on many other things like agriculture aggregation, electric vehicles aggregation, but nobody was doing it in food waste. Why? Because there was no solution and which was actually present, which could actually do it at scale, the treatment of the food waste. And the current solutions that were there were very sporadic. Essentially, what we realized was 99% of our food waste is ending up in landfills. What are we really going to create credits for, right? And that's when we thought, if not us, then who is going to figure out how do we really solve food waste at scale, at the global scale, at the national scale? That's when we actually started getting our hands dirty on, okay, let's try to see if we can figure out a solution for treating food waste at scale.
Yeah, let's go pick up trash now.
We don't pick up trash. We don't do any collection. We don't do any segregation. We just treat the food waste. We are technology. We are a technology provider. Yeah. Our operating partners go do the collection, segregation, etc. So we are still engineers at that. We are not waste. We are not a waste management company, so to say. Yeah.
Okay.
The second assumption, which many of you would have probably, was that funding in this case would work like Silicon Valley. You have an idea, you go with a deck, you raise a lot of money, and then you start building that idea. And then boom, you have success, right? What we realized was that in our case, that's not going to work. And how we realized it was twofold. One, we are a deep tech startup. Deep tech startups do not scale in the same trajectory or in the same way, and they do not have the same life cycle as a software startup would.
Okay.
Deep tech startups require years of research and R&D before the product is ready to even iterate and test in the market, which is exactly what we have now done. Yeah. The second reason was we realized that climate has a lot of free money flowing in. So we should use that before we actually sell a piece of our company for equity and raise any institutional money. So the moment we got our first major grant, we decided, okay, we are not going to go the Silicon Valley way, which was the right decision, of course. And we are going to first build our product, find the product market fit, take it to market, and then see what is our path to growing in terms of fundraising. So that was one of the early assumptions that we were faced with in terms of a very different reality. Any questions, any thoughts over here?
Yes, actually, I wanted to ask. You said climate has a lot of free money.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
That means that now, because climate change is becoming mainstream, there is a lot of funding, non-dilutive funding, as it is called, flowing into the industry. Now, what this means is grants, prize money, competitions, debt. This does not mean equity fundraising using VC money, venture capitalist money. Yeah. If you don't understand any of these terms, just ask me.
Okay. No, I actually got that. Yeah,
Okay.
That's it. That's what I wanted to ask you.
So there are a lot of organizations across the world who are promoting technology solutions, who are promoting solutions which are working on climate mitigation, adaptation, and resilience. So essentially on climate action. Yeah.
Can you actually describe like one company? Can you give an example how they helped you like get money and like start R&D work on
Lots
this?
actually. So lots of examples. Okay. So I'll give you the example of United Nations. So we entered into a competition, we finally won it, and they gave us a prize money which went into our R&D. So that is one example. And like that, we have a lot of examples. And these are, some are small ones, some are large ones, some are catalytic in nature, some are incremental in nature. But all of this combined is an entire web of non-dilutive funding that is flowing into climate right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay. Anything else before we move ahead?
Does anybody else have a question? Okay, I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
Parth, you can speak.
Yeah. Hi. The question I had was that I was reading about the carbon credit market, and I was reading that there are basically two types of companies involved. One are the compliance companies, and the other ones are the offtake ones. So, what is the status for what is happening in India regarding the whole credit marketplace? I think from what I'm aware, the government is still redefining the rules, right? And they're actually setting up whole policies and a proper scheme to encourage the setting up of a marketplace only, especially for compliance industries.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I'm so glad you're so well read in that. There are two types of carbon credits. One is, or I should rather say, carbon credits are a single type, but there are two kinds of carbon markets. One is a voluntary market, and one is a compliance-driven market. Voluntary market is global. You can create a carbon credit here, you can sell it in Venezuela, you can sell it in US, anywhere. Yeah. The compliance-driven market is what is linked to India's net zero goals. This is majorly in the hard-to-abate sectors. Now, what are hard-to-abate sectors? Which sectors like steel manufacturing, cement manufacturing, shipping, etc., which are huge emitters of carbon dioxide equivalent gases. Yeah. So what the government has done is it has, by compliance, it has put caps on these industries as to you are allowed to emit XYZ amount. And if you're emitting more than this, you will need to offset it by buying carbon credits, which essentially means that you're investing in a climate action solution. Does that make sense? Or did that confuse you?
Yeah, so that makes sense. But another doubt that I had was that, let's say you're a compliance industry and you emit more than what's allowed.
Yeah.
So, as far as I am aware, I don't think as of now compliance industries can buy credits from the compliance industries themselves. For example, let's say if you're emitting less than what you should be emitting, then would that allow you to kind of formulate a carbon credit of your own? Let's say a company emits 8 tons less. So, in a way, will a compliance industry then also be able to generate 8 tons of eight carbon credits for its own, which it can later sell on?
So that's not an answer I have right now, because that's getting too technical and we don't work in the carbon credit space anymore, right? So I don't know exactly if they're able to buy it from another compliance-based industry who has some quota left or not. Those rules might be getting redefined, but I know that they can buy from the voluntary market or from another carbon credit generator based in India itself. Now, that carbon credit generator could be a company like us who is doing work in climate action. Sorry, I don't have a definite answer to that.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, anything else before we move ahead?
No, I think that's it.
Cool. So more early assumptions versus reality, and these were more around when we really started to work in the market. We thought, and we were very optimistic at that everybody cares about the climate. So if we give them a solution at a competitive price, it's going to be a no-brainer for them. But what we realized was everybody cares about their job and how they're going to get the next promotion. So we have designed our entire sales process keeping that in mind of how we make our stakeholders look great in front of their bosses. So our solution is a completely B2B solution. It's a commercial food waste management solution, like I mentioned. We work with corporates, townships, industries, bulk waste generators, essentially, large organizations, and we treat their food waste on site for them. And so this stakeholder management becomes extremely important. We thought we would lead with climate and then tell them what are the co-benefits, but we actually have to lead with a strong business case, and then the climate outcome is the cherry on the top of the cake. Another one. This was one of the biggest, I would say, hesitations before we really officially started working together, me and my brother as co-founders. We were told that family co-founders aren't investable. And then we were talking about it to one of our advisors. And this advisor that we have is Vikram Shriram sir of DCM Shriram. DCM Shriram is the biggest fertilizer company in India. It's a generational company, essentially. It's like the Tatas and Birlas that we have. And he said, why are you even thinking about this? The biggest companies of the world are family businesses. So think about, are you building for investors or are you building for your customers? And I think that just made it clear, and we just went full throttle. And now our third co-founder, coincidentally, is also my husband and also a Vitsian. So we are a full family co-founder team that we have now. So my tactical takeaways. These are really beliefs that keep me going. And I have two of these when it comes to climate. This is also why we are doing what we are doing. The first one is, and this is also to your question, Vince, climate action needs to be profitable for the capitalist economy.
Yeah.
Climate action is not the job of NGOs. If it were, NGOs have been in existence forever, we wouldn't have reached here. The problem is, climate action is always in loggerheads with the capitalist economy. So unless we make it profitable, unless we make it into a profitable, scalable business, a scalable business model, we really cannot scale climate action. And that is what we work with every day. How do we make sure that our gross margins, our EBITDA, these are our technical terms, but essentially, how do we make sure that we are turning a profit on every unit that we are selling or every site that we are setting up? And that has been the key from day one for us. How do we make sure we are not losing money? That's the first thing. Yeah. The second belief that keeps me going is all climate solutions that we need, all climate technologies that we need, they already exist. We really don't need to wait for a scientist, research scientists to go and develop a breakthrough technology solution which will save the world from climate change and which will be a silver bullet. No. Climate change is a complex ecosystem. It has no one silver bullet. There are thousands of solutions that need to work together on different aspects. And those solutions exist today. What we need to do as entrepreneurs especially is pick the right technology, put the right business model on top of it, and then take it to scale. Because why climate action does not scale is because the technologies lie in labs, not in the real world. That is the second belief that keeps me going.
Okay, I have a question about the last belief.
Yeah.
How did you pick the right business model? Okay, we get the technology picking, but how do you decide what business model is perfect for this technology and take it to scale?
Trial and error.
Trial and error. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, our first pilot was with the Bhopal municipality. And that's
Yeah,
when we
yeah.
realized that government is not our customer. That's not the business model that we can go for. Then we went to another customer segment, which was the bulk waste generators, large organizations. And we realized that they are slowly coming into the mandate from the government of India that they need to treat their food waste on site. There was a guideline earlier from Solid Waste Management 2016 rules, which has now become a mandate in 2026 that large organizations need to treat their food waste on site. They can still send away their dry waste, which is plastics, recyclables, etc. But food waste, they have to treat on site. That's where we come in. And that is how even we figured out, just talking to our customers, that what are you okay paying for and what is going to be painful for you to pay for, right? And that is how we have designed our entire business model with trial and error, I would say. It's not like you'll get it on the first day.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's it. We can continue.
Okay. So a couple of skills and mindset frameworks, I would say, mental models that you would want to keep in mind. Whether you become an entrepreneur or whether you join a company in which you are doing some great work or any initiative, right? Couple of those that I want to talk about right now. First is systems thinking. Don't think iteratively. Think about first principles, as a lot of people call it. What is the underlying root cause that is causing these symptoms that I'm seeing? And how do we resolve this root cause? And most often you will find that once you resolve this root cause, everything else will just fall into place. Now, this might sound very vague, but really it's all about thinking in terms of systems rather than how do I sell more shampoo, right? That's not systemic thinking. That's not going to make you a billionaire. That's a very difficult market to crack. But finding a place where no system exists and creating a solution for that, that's what is going to make you a billionaire. Yeah. Sorry, I'm always thinking about things in entrepreneurial terms, but even if you join
I actually love it.
a company after this and you are doing any kind of initiative, always think about it in the systems thinking framework. Systems thinking is nothing but simply, how do I understand how the system works, where it is broken, and how do we fix it? As simple as that, right? Don't think about incremental changes. Think about changes that are going to leap you forward. Yeah?
Yeah.
They seem very daunting. They take time, but they're going to be well worth your time. And I'm saying this because all of you are Vitsians. I don't say this when I'm talking to any other college usually. Yeah.
Okay.
The other one is operations plus data comfort. We all start thinking that, okay, it would be great if I get a job in sitting in front of my desk and doing something on the laptop. It would be so great, right? That's what we started thinking from. But the truth is that climate change was not created by software alone, and it's not going to be solved by software. We need to get our hands dirty. On the ground solutions are what are going to solve for climate. And that is essentially on the ground operations plus data. These are the two key things that you need to be comfortable with. You may not be the expert in that, but you need to be comfortable in that. The third one was, we always thought, our impact should speak for itself. Why should we boast about ourselves? Why should we tell everybody that we have treated 4 million kgs of food waste so far? But what we very soon realized was that storytelling and the way we tell the story is extremely, extremely important than creating the impact, more important than creating the impact itself. because that is what gets people to remember you, and that is what gets people rallying behind you and become believers in your work. So storytelling for impact is extremely important.
Okay, I wanted to ask, is there a specific way that you learned storytelling? Like, was it just practice or something else? Or a book that you recommend? Something like that.
You can actually find a lot of books on this. I don't recommend anything in particular because I have not learned it using any books. I have learned it through, I would say, on the job, not just right now, right from when I
Started thinking about the environment.
No. I think I was going to say right from when I started college, because when you start college, you're always telling some kind of story to somebody, you're selling something to somebody, right? An example would be somebody would ask you, why should you join with Embryo? And you would sell that idea to them.
Yeah.
It is about how you sell it. That's the storytelling piece, right? And how you understand more of it is when you tell the story the first time, or when you pitch that idea for the first time, you see the reaction of your audience and you learn from it. What did they understand easily? What did they not understand easily? What do I need to simplify? What do I need to speak first rather than later, right? All those things. And even this will keep evolving. It will keep changing based on who you are talking to for what thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just remembered a very interesting example. How I convinced my own parents to let me marry my husband. That was also a very detailed framework of storytelling. We are an intercaste marriage, and I planned for it for about a year. And then I slowly dropped the hints at the right times to my parents so that they start becoming comfortable with the idea that, okay, this is the guy I want to marry, and it's how it is, right? And that's also storytelling. That's how you really plan to tell your side of the piece, how you plan to convey the message from your mind to the other person's mind. It's as simple as that. Yeah. That makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I did when I convinced my parents to let me go on a college trip. For months, slowly just
You're practicing
already. Yeah. Okay, let's move on now.
Yeah, okay. So a couple of tools, frameworks that would be really helpful to understand and start understanding. One is always think about things from a circular economy lens. Not because it's good to do, but because it's profitable, extremely profitable. Think about a linear economy approach where you take a resource, you do something with it, and then you just let it go to the landfill. That resource is wasted. On the other hand, if you think about everything from a circular economy lens, you're always thinking about how can I make more money by using less resources? And that is the key. The second one is whatever you are doing, entrepreneurship, new initiative in a company, always take a lean pilot approach. Create an MVP, like a lot of you would call it, build something small, go test it in the market or your audience. Come back with the feedback, iterate, go pilot again, come back with feedback, and then iteratively, you will have a solution that will not need many iterations anymore. And then you take it to market. That's the lean pilot approach.
Okay.
The third one may not be as relevant to you right now, but really compliance needs to be used as an enabler. So if you're doing large systemic projects, like I said, systems thinking, then you need to understand what is going to happen with compliance and policy before you even step into this. We knew that solid waste management rules are here and they're going to change. And that's going to be a great enabler for our growth. And that has become the key driver of how we are now making decisions. And the last thing, you will always hear, listen deeply to your customers, see what your customers are saying. But whatever you do, you are always going to have a team on the ground of a ground staff or people delivering your products. Let's say if you're doing some sort of an e-commerce thing, or anybody who's working on the ground to actually build what you're building, you have to listen to them intently as to what they're saying. They might be closest to your customer. They might be closest to your product and the challenges that are being faced on the ground. You have to listen to your customers and your on-ground workers and employees alike. So 3 things I want to leave you with. And this picture is from the United Nations stage, just FYI.
Just a huge flex.
Sorry?
Just a huge flex right there.
Yeah, of course. First one is perseverance. It's never a question of if you will solve a problem. It's always a question of when. If you're at it and if you are in the right direction, then you will solve it. But then the second one becomes really important. You have to be loyal to the problem that you're solving, not to the solution that you came up with. What happens many times is we start and we have something fancy and we fall in love with it and we're like, this is the next big thing and this is what I need to scale. But if that's not working for the customer, you're not going to make money out of it. So find out what is the real problem you're solving. For example, for us, the real problem that we wanted to solve for was climate change. And what within climate change, for example, food waste, is that we want to solve for, right? And then how do we solve for that? We didn't get stuck on the fact that we can't get our hands dirty and we need to do carbon credits. We went out to create a whole new solution to solve for food waste. And that is what has brought us here today. The third one is planet, people, and profits in that order, and money will flow in. Especially because this is the right time. This is the most urgent time. This decade, climate change is going to be the most critical problems and challenges that humanity faces and solves for. So planet, people, and profits, and the money will follow. With that, I want to open up for questions, thoughts, concerns. This is me. You can scan for LinkedIn, connect with me, and you'll have to put in my email ID over there. So yeah.
So Akshat just asked if one has interest in the startup ecosystem but doesn't have an idea as of now, but wants to gain experience by working in existing startups apart from tech. What other skills would you look for in an intern, and how would you hire one, and what role apart from tech would you hire them from?
So what we really look for in our interns is the flexibility to be able to deliver anything and everything that we throw their way. Maybe tech, maybe admin, maybe data analysis, maybe anything, right? What we really look for is problem-solving skills, because that's how we got here. That's what we want our employees to develop as well. So it really doesn't matter what your background has been, what your studies has been, because engineering is just like your core discipline is going to be just 2 years out of the entire life you've had, right? Problem-solving skills is what is the most important thing that we look for. for whatever role we are hiring. Doesn't matter what role it is. Yes, Srishti.
Hi, so I want to ask that right from the point you got the idea of building this into a business. So, what were the immediate and the initial steps of your execution to actually bring it to a reality? Because there is no fixed roadmap, and especially when it is an innovation, you don't have a fixed plan. So,
Yeah. So like I said, lean pilot approach. Our first approach was, can we build a very basic technology solution that works, that just treats food waste, right? And converts it into some kind of a usable fertilizer. When we had that, that's when we went to the Bhopal municipality for the first pilot. At that time, our results were not as good as they are right now. So if to give you a sense of where we were in terms of the technology, we had a biomass reduction of about 60% only. Now we have 95%. And that makes a lot of difference because we are able to bring in more efficiency, reduce costs, and in turn make more money now than we were able to do it earlier, right? So don't wait to create the perfect product before you go out to test and find your first customer. The first thing is the product, an MVP, like people call it, a very lean solution that just works, that does the job that needs to be done, okay? Then you find the first buyer, the first customer, or the first few customers who would be willing to pay you, maybe now or in the future, for this solution which solves their problem. And that's where you go from. And then from there, customer feedback, and then the path will be defined based on the feedback that you get and iteratively build on that. Okay?
so did you actually ask people before building anything, even an MVP, that whether this idea would be, beneficial to them or not?
What we
Did you
asked
validate?
people was, if you wanted to treat food waste, what are you going to use and what are the challenges you're facing? And the list of challenges used to be very long. So we knew that, yes, there is a problem that needs to be solved.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Parth.
Yes, my question was that what are the other opportunities, or what is, so obviously there's a lot of push from the government side also in terms of recycling and all climate tech. So what do you think are the opportunities or some sectors that maybe we should be looking at specifically to maybe build something in?
So in terms of climate problems that need solving, I have two useful resources at the bottom of this page written here. One is Project Drawdown and the other is the Circular Economy Handbook. Project Drawdown was our go-to resource when we were deciding whether we want to work in food waste or solar or wind or any other kind of renewable resource or seaweed or ocean economy or whatever, right? What Project Drawdown really does well is, so this project is essentially a research study, a huge global multi-year research study, which is still ongoing across all the climate problems and all the climate solutions that are possible, that exist today. And each of them, how much impact can it have? And how much carbon mitigation can it do? And how much effort would it take to actually solve for? And from that list, what we realized was, in the top 5 lies food waste. And the other top 4 were all renewable energy things. So, yeah, on which the world was already working extensively. And food waste and food loss, both of these things, we couldn't find any solution that was scaling. And that was the main reason why we knew that the impact opportunity is so huge that we have to get into this. So even for you, I would say start from these two resources and then go from there.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Srijan.
Yeah, hi. So my question is that for the past couple of years, I have been moving across marketing, operations, product strategy, etc. Because the business needed that at an early stage. So I'm currently wondering whether there comes a stage where being a generalist right now starts limiting my company. So basically, what I'm trying to ask is, when do I know that I should stop being a generalist and maybe focus on a specific, we get a specialization in a specific edge or something?
Okay. Are
Like
you
you
a
being a
student?
founder,
Are you a student or are you a graduate?
I'm a student.
You're a student. What do you do?
I just got done with my third year. Uh,
Third year. And this company you're talking about is your own startup?
yeah, it's my own startup.
What do you do in that?
So basically, in my first year, me and my wingies, we really faced this problem of college merchandise. So we had these overpriced T-shirts and hoodies, and the quality was pretty trash, to be
What is
honest.
the price right now?
In my company, our pricing is a bit cheap. It's not very cheap, as I would
No,
say,
like
but
what is the
then
college pricing right now?
the college pricing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So right now, I think the hoodies cost around 850 if they're ordering from my company. Otherwise, if they're ordering from somewhere else, it's around 1,000,
Yeah.
and the t-shirts are at around 350 to 500 range.
Yeah, I remember my time. Sorry, I'm digressing a little. But I remember my time when, we just used to go into the mess, and if there is one of our friends who was signing us up for a t-shirt, they would just write our names, not even tell us, and then it would just come to our rooms and the bill would be there in the mess bill. But yeah, anyways, yeah.
Oh, at least you guys would receive your merch. We don't even receive our merch for like a semester or two.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a very
That's
major
bad
issue that we
supply chain.
faced.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
It is still an issue.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's
Okay, so you
why.
guys are solving for that. Okay, tell me how
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing
So
it.
So that was the initial problem, and
Hmm.
so the story to this is pretty funny. Uh, it was the day of Holi, and we being first years, we wanted to try bhang, and after we did that, it
Are
was
you
it was crazy
recording
that
this? I hope nobody's recording it, but yeah, go on.
yeah. So after we were
I would
just
like to
sitting
add
and
that this call is being recorded. So yeah, and it
it's
will
okay,
be
it's okay.
uploaded on YouTube.
It's a story. I literally gave a presentation about this yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, so me and my wingers were just brainstorming about the issues that we are facing in bits, being Bitsians, and we are facing these kind of simple issues. And
Hmm.
so we were like, why not just launch our own merchandise company and see how it goes? So
Hmm.
initially, we did not have any plan, we did not have any idea where to start or anything. So we just had one thing in mind that we are gonna launch the t-shirts at very less profit margins, but those t-shirts have to be sustainable, and they should not like the quality should not degrade within 1 or 2 months of wearing it or after
Yeah,
two or three washes.
true. Yeah.
That was a very fundamental problem that we were facing when we were ordering any kind of merchandise.
Hmm.
So for Holi, we released our T-shirt, and within 1 week, using the payment of method of GPay, we sold around 300 plus T-shirts. So
Wow.
we were pretty surprised with the results, and that's how we started building the brand there onwards.
Okay, okay. So now tell me what's your question?
So my question was, see, so currently for the past couple of years, I was switching my field between, sometimes I was doing marketing, sometimes I'm doing financing, sometimes I'm talking to the vendors, sometimes I'm hiring models, I'm going to photo shoots, I'm clicking photos myself, I'm doing everything myself. I'm being a journalist in this field.
Hmm.
But now my question is that when should I know that me being a founder, I think I should stop being a journalist and start focusing on a specific field, for example, networking or connections, or maybe even
You have a co-founder?
approaching VCs. Yeah, I don't actually have a co-founder right now. I used to have two
Then you will
co-founders,
always
but they
be a
got busy.
generalist. You can never specialize. So what happens, I'll tell you, the process of building a team
Yeah.
as a founder, yeah, as a founder or a co-founder, you will start with doing everything under the sun yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you feel that, okay, one part of this business is now well set and I can hire somebody to run it, then you will delegate that and hire somebody for that. But you are still a generalist doing everything else that nobody else is doing. And this
Yeah.
goes on forever.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's
So
better being a
start
journalist.
building a team. You can't build a team by hiring somebody to do something which is not yet operationalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
And you will not hire somebody full-time to start with. It will probably be a freelancer or a part-time person or something like that.
Okay. Okay. And I have one more question. That so basically, currently, I'm running my company on two business models.
Okay.
The first model focuses on solving this merchandise problem, and the second model, I want to build it into a fashion brand, like a full-scale pan-India fashion brand.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a question that, in your case itself, you evolved from climate education into food waste, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when did you like? What gave you the conviction that it was time to pivot rather than just simply execute your
Education was
climate
not making
education?
us any money.
Okay, so
That
that
was
was
the
the basic.
conviction. Yeah. We needed to pay our bills. We needed food to eat. So yeah, we were burning our savings. We couldn't do that for a long time. But anyways, for us, it was slightly different because for us, we knew we had a runway of a couple of years uh, before we had to like quit being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And fortunately, that time never came. And we started the education company only because we didn't know what we wanted to do. So that was more of our segue into climate, of
Yeah.
our researching of what are the problems, what are the solutions, and where do we want to spend our time on.
Okay. 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 Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think there are several questions on the chat.
Yeah, there's one by Ria.
Okay.
Which skills from college turned out to be surprisingly useful, and which skills did you have to learn from scratch?
Making friends and solving problems. Those were the only two skills from college.
Nothing else.
Nothing else really. See, education evolves, right? It's not like I did ES1, ES2, and I'm using it to change bulbs or something. I'm not doing that. And I think I made a D or E in ES1 and ES2. That's why I always remember that.
What?
But yeah,
That's
I did.
okay.
That was the one course where I hated it. I couldn't understand anything. But so for me particularly, because I did not end up going into computer science field, I didn't end up coding at all right after my graduation, right? But how that knowledge of the fundamentals of computer science has helped, it has been in multiple ways across my entire career. I'll give you some examples. So in my first job, I was a consultant, but because I was a computer science engineer, I turned out to be really great at VBA coding. And so I was the one who was automating all of the tools in Excel for them. And this is back in 2010, right? This was the age of Excel automations and everything. The second example is my job after my MBA. That was an enterprise SaaS company. So it was a software platform. I wasn't coding myself. I was building the customer side of the business, but I couldn't do that if I didn't understand the software platform and how it is built, what are the limitations, etc. Right? The third example is right now. In our company, we now have an entire software platform, which is a data analysis platform. A lot of it is built by me. And for a lot of it, we are now hiring other people, freelancers, interns to build upon it. And we are now building an AI agentic layer to help us in the operations and to build it further, right? All of this becomes easier because of my education. But it's not like I'm using my programming language skills that I learned in college to do any coding now. Things change, things evolve very quickly.
Okay, that's a very good answer. And yeah, those were some great points. I actually have a question myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, as it has been said, like for a while, like even my father was convinced, and I was convinced that when you come to bits, there's a very high chance of building a startup because that's
It
what
is, yeah.
everybody does.
And statistically, Bitsians are more likely to become entrepreneurs than IITians are in India.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually why I chose to come to Bits in the first place. But then I felt like right now I'm feeling like I'm going way too slow. Like I have no direction. Like I don't know where I am. So
Guys, you're not even 20.
yeah, exactly. See, that's my problem. That's
Yeah.
that's the that's
I'm
the thing I'm
almost
looking.
40 now, so don't say that to me, going slow and all.
Yeah, but I actually do feel like I'm going way too slow, and I don't know what to do about that. Like I don't know how to be productive right now, and how to like start going towards that direction, because I don't have an idea right now, but I do want an idea in the future. So
See,
how
like
do
I
I?
said, it's never about I want an idea.
Yeah, you said
Problem
that,
will
and
choose
that
you.
actually hit me.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't do my computer science engineering thinking someday I'm going to solve for the world's waste problem, right? That's not the dream anybody wakes up with, or that's not the dream that your parents teach you.
Hmm.
Um, so just take it as it comes, really. Focus
Be
on
patient.
building your skills, focus on what your next thing is going to be and how you can do it in the best way possible. Don't focus on मेरे को graduate होते ही startup करना है, ऐसा नहीं होता है. Graduate होते ही startup करना is a very, very, very difficult thing because you really don't know how to forget about building a business. You don't know how to go sell to customers. You don't know how to build a team. You don't know how to talk to people. Forget about anything else. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's very difficult. So don't expect yourself to do that.
Okay, just stay chill.
Yeah, stay chill.
Okay. Okay, let's see if anybody else has any other questions, or
Anything
otherwise
from
we
the
can just.
chat box that we haven't yet covered?
No, I think we've covered everything from the chat box. Yeah, we have.
Okay, okay, cool.
Oh, these questions, like this from the script. No, I think we're actually pretty good with that. I
Okay,
think
cool.
everything was vaguely covered. Yeah. So, any other questions by any other audience member? So you can raise your hands or put them in the chat box. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. Oh, we have a question. Never mind.
Yes, tell me.
Srijan.
One last question. When you mentioned that you pivoted from climate education to food waste, you said that you were not getting revenue. You were not making profit on that. But like, what made you think that it is not just a marketing or maybe a sales problem? Like, m- maybe it could be that.
So, climate education was not making us money.
Yeah.
We knew it's not going to make us money. Why? Because we looked at we looked at ed tech companies, we looked at their margins, and we looked at are they burning or are they making profits, like Baiju's of the world, right?
Yeah.
Ed tech is a very difficult field to make money in. And if you add climate to it, people are always thinking, why shouldn't I just Google the answer rather than paying you money for giving me this education, right?
Okay.
That's how we knew that, look, this is not going to make us money ever. So from this, we need to find what is going to make us money, what has a strong business need, a strong business payer that can and has the ability to pay us either now or in the future. Food waste, we knew that, okay, if nothing, then we knew that if we make a great technology, municipalities will end up paying us.
Okay.
And that's still on our roadmap, but that's probably 3 years down the line when we have deeper pockets. Right now, it is bulk waste generators, because bulk waste generators, these are private companies, so the sales cycles and payment cycles are much shorter.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So basically, comparables in the same industry, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
realize that it is just not a money making thing.
Yeah, and it's very important. You can't keep spending your time thinking that, oh, it might be a sales problem, it might be a marketing problem, maybe I'm not being able to reach my customer. But
Yeah.
unless you find a customer segment for whom you are solving a real painful pain point,
Yeah.
unless you find that customer segment, then it's going to always be an uphill task selling the next unit, selling the next project, selling the next thing in the pipeline. And you don't want to get into that kind of a business.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, we have another question from Raghav.
Yeah.
When you decided to solve food waste as a problem, you had mentioned that these solutions are numerous and already available. At what point did you start the R&D process, and what did it look like for the venture?
So what we saw was that the solutions are available, but they were really built for the last decade. They were simple electromechanical machines which needed huge amounts of electricity. They were slow, very costly to set up, due to which most people don't end up setting it up at all, due to which it becomes a default choice for them to just fill their food waste in a truck and send it to the landfill. That was the main problem we identified, that why are people not using the solutions that are already available? Because of these many challenges. And then we decided, okay, how do we solve for these challenges? What are the solutions of food waste that are already available in the market? Which one out of that can we pick up, do more R&D on that, so that it becomes a solution that is viable on a commercial scale, right? So that was, in short, our journey of figuring out when we start R&D and why we start R&D, rather than, picking, let's say, a biogas and going and selling that more.
Okay, that was really insightful. Is your question answered, Raghav? You good? Anyway, so I think, yeah, that's it for today's session. And
Rahul has a question, no?
oh, Raghav
No?
has a question. I think he raised his hand.
No,
Like,
no, I meant to give a thumbs up, sir.
Okay.
okay. Okay, so great. So thank you so much, Ankita, for sharing your experiences and perspective with us today. Today was probably one of my favorite talks because I felt like I just learned so much through your journey and experiences, and it's really true. Like, it was probably one of my favorite talks. And
Thank you.
and yeah, to everyone in the audience, thank you for joining us and for being such an engaged part of today's session. And I hope that you guys made notes just like I did. And whether you're already working on a startup, exploring ideas, or simply curious about entrepreneurship, I am pretty sure that today's conversation did encourage you to take the next step, or at least help you gain some knowledge about it for later. And on the behalf of Bits Embryo, thank you all for joining us. We hope to see many of you at our upcoming events. Thanks again, and see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Bye.